Hey, what's going on guys, and welcome back to Every Actor in Star Wars Explained. If you haven't seen the previous videos on episodes 1 and 2, link is in the description. This video won't make much sense unless you watch those first. Also, I want to take this as an opportunity to lay down some ground rules for this series. I plan to highlight every actor in a movie that has a speaking role. Extras and non-speaking parts I don't plan to cover, unless the extra in question has other interesting roles of note. Okay, so if you're all caught up, let's begin with breaking down the careers of every actor that made their debut in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So General Grievous is played by famed Star Wars creator George Lucas. Okay, that statement is misleading, but technically true. You see, the voice isn't Lucas's, but the coughs are. Yeah, the story goes that George Lucas had a bad bout of bronchitis during filming, so he had his coughs recorded and then they were used during the film.
Jedi scum!
As for Grievous's voice actor, that is famed sound designer Matthew Wood, who I have already talked about in this series, but it would feel a bit weird not to credit him for his most well-known role. Wood also voices the battle droids here, and he reprises these roles in the Clone Wars cartoon. And it's really interesting to see his raw performance in the vocal booth, as there's a lot of post-processing done with his voice to achieve the robotic sound.
Do you really think I would leave the hyperdrive of this ship unguarded?
I thought the hyperdrive was fixed!
And here's a few more fun facts about him. Wood has received 5 different nominations for sound editing at the Academy Awards, but horrifically has never won. That is a tragedy, if you ask me. Also, here's a few more voice roles he's done over the years you might recognise.
I'm here!
All in one piece, which means we can find the cargo.
And here's a fun family link. His uncle is American sports commentator Lon McCarran, whose voice will be instantly recognisable to anybody into the competitive poker scene.
So it comes down to the river. He's going to need a 9 and a 9 only to stick around, and the river card is a heart!
An ace?
A fine addition to my collection.
2 Jedi have landed in the main hangar bay. We're tracking them.
So the voice of this Neimoidian, canonically known as Lushros Dofine, is provided by Wally himself, Ben Burtt. Now, I also talked about Burtt before, but I should shout out his legendary work as a sound designer, for he was the guy behind some of the series' most iconic bits of audio, from R2-D2's binary speech, Darth Vader's breathing, and the sound of lightsabers. And whilst he wasn't the inventor of it, he was the guy that popularised the use of the infamous Wilhelm scream. But the man inside Dofine's suit is Australian makeup and VFX artist Colin Ware. Ware has done a ton of work in the industry, but in episode 3, he got to work on the look for the Emperor and burnt up Anakin.
It's amazing how ugly they can make these things these days.
Didn't flinch.
Didn't flinch.
Fire ships on the left and the right.
We'll take you in. Copy that.
So the Fireship pilot here is another cameo appearance from John Knoll again. Yep, the guy behind Photoshop and many Star Wars visual effects is apparently the guy behind that mask. Also, Knoll lends a hand in various scenes in this movie. Literally. In the scene where the ship is going down, this shot of Anakin's hand grabbing a cable is not Hayden Christensen's hand, it's Knoll's. Knoll's hand is also used here when Anakin disarms Dooku.
That's me as Anakin.
The Senate will vote to continue the war as long as Grievous is alive.
Okay, yet more cameos to go through here. In the background are George Lucas's daughters again. This is Katie, and this is Amanda. The two show up again in the Opera House scene as Anakin walks through this hallway. The blue guy who Katie is talking to, I'm sure you'll recognise, but I'll get to him in a bit. But the guy with his back to us is Amanda's real-life husband, American businessman Jason Hallikainen. Oh, and whilst I'm here, there's a ton of other cameos you'll find in the Opera House. Mostly crew members, but some other people of note. See this guy with the big hat? That's 3PO himself, Anthony Daniels yet again. Already talked about Daniels as well, so I'll throw in a clip from his appearance on The Muppet Show, where he got to do a tap dance number. You might be thinking they got a professional dancer for that bit, but no, that is really Anthony Daniels in there. Then there's this guy down here. That is Pablo Hidalgo, known for his work with the Lucasfilm Story Group, and his infamous "emotions are not to be shared" tweet. Eesh. And you see this private viewing box here? Well, all 6 of these guys are visual effects artists who work for ILM. Probably the best known amongst them is Rob Coleman, who is the one in white here. He picked up 2 Best VFX noms at the Oscars for episodes 1 and 2, and was in charge of the animation department on the Lego movie. So, whew, that guy knows his stuff. The other 5 people in the box are Roger Guyatt, Denise Ream, Jill Brooks, Janet Lewin, and hey, there's John Knoll again. How's it going, man? But without a doubt, the most notable cameo in this scene is from good old George himself. He plays the character Baron Notluwiski Papanoida. That's a mouthful. This character goes on to appear in an episode of The Clone Wars, but there he's played by a different actor. Now George has made cameos in a ton of other things, like the teen drama The O.C.
The prom is a great American tradition. It's important to experience the things of being a teenager, when you're a teenager.
The American sitcom Just Shoot Me. Here he is randomly showing up in Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Excuse me.
Hey!
That's not fair.
And he even voices himself in Robot Chicken.
And I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
But his most bizarre cameo is in the movie Hook. See this couple on the bridge here? That is apparently George Lucas kissing Carrie Fisher. Yeah, Spielberg and Lucas are good friends, and they do like to throw in the odd Easter egg referencing each other in their films. What with E.T. showing up in Episode 1, and Club Obi-Wan showing up in the Temple of Doom.
Hello there.
Now before I move on, I think it's worth highlighting the 2 women George Lucas has married. His first wife was Marsha Lucas. She was a big part of the team responsible for editing the original Star Wars trilogy, even picking up an Oscar for Episode 4. She also edited movies like Taxi Driver and George Lucas's prior film to Star Wars, American Graffiti. And George's second and current wife is Melody Hobson. She was listed as number 94 in Forbes' list of the world's 100 most powerful women. And it's easy to see why that is, because she was the chairwoman of DreamWorks Animation and is now the chairwoman of a little company called Starbucks. Star Wars? Starbucks. Nice. Okay, let's get to talking about the guys behind the Wookiee suits, and we have to begin with the walking carpet himself, Chewbacca, who I'm sure many of you will know is played by the late Peter Mayhew. Mayhew played Chewbacca in a ton of things, from the Star Wars films themselves, to a 1980 appearance on The Muppet Show, to a Christmas-themed episode of Glee. Yes, that was Mayhew in the suit there. But did Mayhew have other non-Chewie roles? Well, yes. Before the original Star Wars, Mayhew was cast as a Minotaur in the 1977 fantasy film Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. This film was directed by Sam Wanamaker, who, fun fact, is the father of Zoe Wanamaker, the actress that plays Madame Hooch in Harry Potter. But Mayhew had some roles not in a suit for once, such as in the 2008 neo-noir film Yesterday Was a Lie, and in 2004 he tried his hand at voice acting, playing the character of Susha in the English dub of Dragon Ball GT: A Hero's Legacy.
Oh, it's you. For a second there I thought I was in trouble. Wait a second, you're the one that escaped from Mamba.
Now, when it comes to the other Wookiees, many were played by Australian basketball players. Remember, episodes 2 and 3 were shot in Sydney. Amongst the players were David Stiff, Julian Khazzouh, and Michael Kingma, with Kingma portraying the most noteworthy Wookiee, Tarful. Motion capture, people. If you want to do it well, you gotta make a fool of yourself. And that gets my respect. After Star Wars, Kingma has been hitting the convention scene, but has been struggling with a drug addiction, and has pleaded not guilty to 2 charges of assault. Best not get in the bad side of a Wookiee.
The droid don't pull people's arms out of their sockets when they lose. Wookiees are known to do that.
Greetings, young Jedi. What brings you to our remote sanctuary?
The Utapawan Tion Medon is played by New Zealand-Australian actor Bruce Spence. Now, Spence is one of those actors that was made for this series, because you'll have likely seen him loads of times without realising it was him. Firstly, he got his breakthrough back in 1971 in the Australian comedy Stalk.
Is that what she tells you?
Word for word.
What a load of crap!
But international audiences will probably know him best from the Mad Max films, acting alongside Mel Gibson.
Look, we had a deal. I show you the gas and you let me go, right?
The arrangement was I wouldn't kill you.
After all I've done for you.
I reckon you got a bargain, didn't you?
You might also know him from Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls.
Say hello to my stinky little friend.
And I was surprised to find out he portrayed the mouth of Sauron in the extended cut of Return of the King.
The halfling was dear to thee, I see.
Oh, and here's a voice role of his playing Chum the Shark in Finding Nemo.
Dolphins, yeah, they think they're so cute. Oh, look at me, I'm a flippin' little dolphin. Let me flip for you, I know something.
And amongst his other roles were appearances in Pirates of the Caribbean, The Chronicles of Narnia, and The Matrix Revolutions. But seriously, I am skipping the surface with this guy.
Down here I make the rules. Down here I make the threats.
Also, before I continue, this Utapawan stood here behind Spence is played by Australian actor Goran D. Kleut. He's been in a few notable things like Pirates of the Caribbean as well, and here's Andrew Garfield helping him out in Hacksaw Ridge.
Eddie Walker, also known as Ghoul. Ghoul, you're okay.
He was also the man behind the Xenomorph suit in Alien Covenant.
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
Ross Beedman plays the Jedi youngling Sawz Bandim. Yeah, his on-screen name is an anagram of his real name. Now, Beedman didn't pursue acting after Star Wars, but he did have 2 other roles as a kid. One was in a flashback scene in the British sitcom My Life in Film.
I never felt comfortable in front of camera. I wanted to direct. They were happy days.
And his other role had him portray this innocent-looking kid in a made-for-TV documentary. Well, it's nice to see him in a more carefree role where we get to see him live free as a child full of youthful wonders. Oh god, the documentary is about the Hindenburg disaster.
In just 34 seconds, the mighty airship is destroyed.
Wow, filmmakers really wanted this kid dead. Now, after Star Wars, Beedman embraced his newfound fame with many convention appearances. Here he is posing with his murderer. And now Ross is busy doing editing and graphics work for advertising campaigns. Wait a minute. British guy with an affinity for Star Wars who does editing work and his name is Ross. Sounds like a right loser. So the Jedi youngling here, Zet Ducasa, is played by Jet Lucas, who I'm sure many of you will know is the son of George Lucas. Now Jet didn't act in anything else, but he went on to work for 3 years as a creative executive on Heavy Metal magazine, and more recently he worked as a visual effects coordinator on The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. Also, fun fact about George Lucas's kids, Amanda, Katie and Jet are actually all adopted. But in 2013, Lucas and Hobson welcomed a 4th child called Everest, who is biologically Lucas's and was born via a surrogate mother.
We're receiving a message from the Chancellor's office, sir.
So here we have another cameo. The captain of the Alderaan ship is played by the late Jeremy Bulloch. Yeah, I'm sure that name will sound familiar to Star Wars fans, for whilst he didn't voice him, he was the guy performing inside the Boba Fett suit in episodes 5 and 6. And this is not the only cameo appearance Bulloch made. You see this Imperial officer holding on to Leia here? That there is Boba Fett in the flesh.
Look! Look, don't hit the trap!
Though it is a shame about Bulloch, as he had a sizable career outside of Star Wars that no one seems to talk about. For example, did you know that he made 3 appearances in Roger Moore's Bond films? One was as a Navy crewman in The Spy Who Loved Me, though he's quick to bite the dust in that. But he got recast for Octopussy and For Your Eyes Only as the character Smithers, one of Q's lab assistants.
Smithers, how's the arm?
Coming along very nicely, thank you, sir.
Bulloch also made a couple of appearances on Doctor Who.
There is much strange at Irongrun's castle, Sir Edward. I told you of the knight that fights on, though it should be dead. And one of the guards told me there's a man from the stars that lives among them. A mighty wizard who makes magic weapons.
And here he is in the 1984 television series Robin of Sherwood.
Let him see your power. Let the terror of darkness hunt him down and hold him in the coldness of death.
My resolve has never been stronger.
So fans of Australian soaps might recognise the handmaiden sat behind Padme here. That is Australian actress Christy Wright, best known for playing the character of Chloe Richards in Home and Away.
How the could he want? He brought it back. He knows where I live.
Okay, so I think it's worth pointing out the man inside the suit of this particular Neimoidian. Yeah, random I know, but in that suit is American actor Nick Jameson, who has been in a ton of things with over 100 film credits. You might know him from 24.
Whatever it was you said to Mrs. Hassan to keep her here, must have been very convincing.
And he's done a ton of voice roles. Morbius in Spider-Man the Animated Series.
I feel energy surging through me.
Coach Mosse Oleander in Psychonauts.
There's only one way out of here. Fighting!
He voices Sam in Sam & Max Hit the Road.
I wish I had absolute power to decide who lives and who dies.
And he often stands in for Ian McDiarmid as the voice of the Emperor in many Star Wars shows and video games.
This deranged former Jedi has no place in my vision for the future. I expect you to correct this error.
Okay, so in the hologram here are 2 cameos. The woman with the blue saber is Olivia McCallum. She worked as a production assistant on the film and is the daughter of the film's producer, Rick McCallum. And the guy you see with the green saber is stuntman and fight choreographer Nick Gillard, playing Jedi Master Sin Dralig. That's his name spelled backwards. This character appears very briefly in an episode of the Clone Wars, and you can fight him in the Star Wars Episode 3 video game. Now, Gillard has had quite a fascinating career. When George Lucas approached him to choreograph for The Phantom Menace, he at first wanted Gillard to play Darth Maul.
The brief for Darth Maul was that he should look like a heroin addict. And they said, you will be perfect.
Good thing he has a sense of humour. That wasn't a very nice thing to say. Now, Gillard has worked as a stuntman on tons of things, and he makes the odd cameo appearance in films he works on. For example, this is him in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Die Amerikaner, die kämpfen wie Weiber.
And it's definitely worth pointing out his work on the Alien franchise. In Alien 3, he performed a stunt which required him to be set on fire for over 2 minutes, which, at the time of filming, was a Guinness World Record for the longest amount of time spent set alight. Now, there's a ton of other actors who played Jedi in this movie, but all the notable ones I already mentioned in my episode 2 video, with perhaps the exception of this guy who you see Anakin pass by here. That is an Ivory Coast musician called Gervais Coffey, who heads an Australian-based Afro-Caribbean band called the African Diaspora. Now, would Anakin have gone through with Order 66 had these chill-out beats been echoing throughout the Jedi Temple? I don't think so.
Medically, she's completely healthy. For reasons we can't explain, we are losing her.
So, unfortunately, whoever provides the voice of the midwife droid is uncredited and unknown. But this droid is voiced by American sound editor David Accord, who collaborates often with Grievous voice actor Matthew Wood. And like Wood, Accord lends his voice for many minor Star Wars roles too. Here is 3 of them.
Cut the pleasantries, Kragan. Do you want the cargo or not? Raider!
The Separatists have very little compassion.
Yes, that was Accord as the droid there singing along to the Imperial March theme. Oh, and how fitting, because that brings me to...
Where is Padme? Is she safe? Is she alright?
Okay, so it's pretty cool to know that Hayden Christensen is in the suits here, but Vader would be nothing without the sultry tones of one James Earl Jones, who, fun fact, is the son of Robert Earl Jones, who you might recognize from various films like The Sting.
They gave him till 4 to come up with the cash. They don't get it. I'm dead.
Now, James Earl Jones' first movie role was back in 1964, in the comedy classic Dr. Strangelove.
The fire is out. The emergency power is on. Everything seems to check out all right. Will advise.
Then Jones went on to have a career that is nothing short of legendary. Amongst his many, many movie appearances are Conan the Barbarian, Coming to America, The Sandlot, and, of course, The Lion King.
Don't turn your back on me, Scar.
But let's talk more about Jones's lesser-known roles. Like, did you know that he once portrayed Santa Claus? Yeah, he did just that in an episode of the Disney animated show, Recess.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Yeah, Jones made one-off appearances in a bunch of TV series, from House...
If you want me dead, then pull the trigger.
...to Will and Grace...
The voice, okay, Jimmy Choo?
Jimmy Choo.
Jimmy Choo up here?
Jimmy Choo.
No, it's Jimmy Choo! Jimmy Choo!
...to his numerous cameos in The Simpsons.
This is indeed a disturbing universe.
And check out this clip of him in The Big Bang Theory, pranking a unsuspecting homeowner.
It's not funny anymore, James!
Then why am I laughing?
And if you've ever wanted to hear the word of God brought to you by Darth Vader, just check out James Earl Jones Reads the Bible.
Then Jesus said unto them again, Verily, verily, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers.
I spent so long looking for Ezekiel 25:17 and I came up short. I am so sorry.
Captain Antilles. Yes, Your Highness.
So the young Captain Antilles is played by Australian actor Rohan Nicol. Nicol is a prominent actor on Australian television, most noteworthy for playing Ben Astoni in Home and Away.
Hey!
Okay, now if Dean can stay the night under my roof with my daughter,
Then he can stay to have breakfast with her parents.
And he's made a bunch of minor movie appearances. Here he is acting with Matthew McConaughey in Fool's Gold.
Why did you pick the North Beach? I didn't. It's the only beach on the island not blocked by the reef.
Yes. And this is him getting a sword through his chest in Pirates of the Caribbean. For whatever reason, he seems to get typecasted as captains a lot. Also, before I move on, the lady in white you see walking behind Bail Organa here is a Brazilian actress and model by the name of Caroline de Souza Correia. She's had minor acting roles like here in the 2005 film Stealth.
God, he's such a chauvinist.
Oh, hold on, now that's not true. Look, I bow down before the superiority of the opposite sex in many respects.
And this is her starring alongside Benicio del Toro in a beyond extensive ad campaign for Magnum ice cream.
You couldn't wait for one more day.
Also, I think it's worth highlighting Correia's dress here. It's unusually stunning for a piece meant to be worn by an extra, isn't it? And the reason for that is that this dress was originally meant for Natalie Portman, but because the storyline required Padme to wear clothes that could hide her pregnancy, this slim-fitting piece naturally couldn't be used. But instead of it going to waste, Correia's character inherited it. So, I think it might surprise you to know that the incredibly small role of Queen Apollana is played by the second youngest ever person to get nominated for Best Actress at the Oscars. Yeah, this is Kiwi actress Keisha Castle-Hughes, and she got nominated for her lead role in the 2002 New Zealand family drama, Whale Rider.
I called them and they came. But it wasn't right.
She then went on to do a ton of stuff. She appeared in the music video for the Prince song Cinnamon Girl, where she plays a Muslim victimized after the 9/11 attacks. Cinnamon Girl. Now, I would say it was a good idea to portray the discrimination faced against Arab Americans during this time, but does that really work all that well when you actually have her blow up an airport in the music video? Muslims aren't terrorists, so let's portray one as a terrorist. Now, much like Shmi actress Pernilla August, Castle-Hughes also played Mary of Nazareth, this time in the 2006 film The Nativity Story.
How can this be? Since I've been with no man.
But my audience might know Keisha better for two of her more recent television roles. This is her in an episode of The Walking Dead.
I guess it's easy to make a deal with the devil when you're not the one paying the price.
But many of you will know her best as Obara Sand in Game of Thrones.
Oberyn tossed his spear at my feet and said, "Girl or boy, we fight our battles."
Okay, so I was considering talking about the actors who play Padme's parents in my episode 2 video, but I decided against it as they were only seen in the deleted scenes. However, they're here in episode 3, albeit very briefly, so let's talk about them. Padme's father, Rui Nabari, is played by Australian actor Graham Blundell. Remember that movie called Stalk with Bruce Spence? Well, Blundell was in that too.
We're as scarce as hen's bloody teeth.
We're as scarce as hen's bloody teeth. We've got 4 years of specialist knowledge up there.
Well, we don't often use it, but it's always there if they want it, and that is the point.
But Blundell was best known for his lead performance in Alvin Purple, a pretty dated 1973 Australian sex comedy. But let's move on to Padme's mother, Jobal Nabari, who's played by the late Trisha Noble. Now, Noble had a hell of a career as an actress and singer. She was a mainstay on Australian television, with regular appearances on the music and variety television series Bandstand. This then set off her career as a pop star. She split her time between the UK and Australia, releasing several singles and albums. And while she didn't quite hit the big time in Britain, she had quite a lot of success down under, scoring 4 top 10 singles, with 2 of them hitting #1.
But accidents will happen when you least expect them. Accidents will happen time and time again.
Noble then pursued acting, with appearances in a bunch of stuff like Carry On Camping.
Please, sir, I don't seem to have a pair.
I wouldn't say that, Terr.
Oh, hardy ha. And she showed up in American TV too, including one-off appearances in The Love Boat and Buck Rogers in the 25th Century.
Hello, Buck Rogers.
Okay, now I see where Padme got her confidence from.
She can't do that. Shoot her or something.
And she was a series regular in the 80s police procedural Strike Force.
After all this is over, we're going to try very hard to help you.
So the young version of Tarkin here is played by Australian actor Wayne Pigram. This is him in an episode of Lost.
I harness this energy and give it to others.
But he was best known for his role as Scorpius in the sci-fi series Farscape. And when you listen to him here, you can immediately see why he got the role of Tarkin.
What species are you? And who are you working for?
Yeah, he sounds so much like Peter Cushing. It's uncanny.
You don't know how hard I found it signing the order to terminate your life?
Your adherence to orders is selective.
Regional governors now have direct control over their territories.
I have unconditional authority on a Gammak base.
So it's my theory that Pigram had a speaking role that got cut. I mean, all that makeup work and expert casting for a few seconds on screen? Yeah, surely they were planning more for him. Surely. Now, outside of acting, Pigram is an avid drummer. In fact, he played the drums as part of a rock band called Signal Room. I want my $1 million fee, reality TV. I want the glitz, I want the glam, I want the hot to trampoline blam. I want the photo at the show. Grand Moff Tarkin on the beat. So here is a woman with a fascinating story. The brief appearance from Bail Organa's wife is brought to you by Australian actress and singer Rebecca Jackson Mendoza, who I'm chuffed as hell to see is alive. Because in 1999, she was the victim of a knife attack from her ex-husband, and due to the blood loss, she suffered a stroke and had to be put on a life support machine. But amazingly, she made a full recovery. In fact, doctors dubbed her the Miracle Girl, and just 6 months later, she began writing songs. And she would go on to sing those songs as part of a pop duo called Jackson Mendoza, performing with her sister, Natalie Mendoza. Here is their debut single, Venus or Mars. Ooh, 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 ooh. Hey, Princess Leia's mum made some catchy shit. The group, though, didn't last long, as the sisters went on to pursue acting careers, with Rebecca going on to have a successful line of work performing in stage musicals. Some of her credits include a German production of Miss Saigon, a Japanese production of We Will Rock You, and here she is in Toronto, performing as Galadriel in a musical production of The Lord of the Rings. Yeah, if like me you never knew there was a Lord of the Rings musical, there's a reason for that. Because when it hit the London West End in 2007, it underperformed. And with a production budget of £25 million, yeah, it got shelved pretty quickly, and is now regarded as the most costly musical mistake in West End history. But at least it does now allow us to say that Galadriel is Princess Leia's mum. And the last actor to talk about in the Star Wars prequels is the baby that plays Luke and Leia. Yeah, they use the same baby to play both of them. And that baby's name is Aiden Barton, who is the son of the film's editor, Roger Barton. And you want to feel old? Aiden was born in 2003, which technically now makes him a legal adult.
Look how old you've become.
Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any information available on what Aiden looks like now. Though you might believe otherwise if you follow Mark Hamill on Twitter, as he shared supposed photos of Aiden back in 2019. But then Aiden's father replied to his tweet saying, Mark, the images you shared, that's not my son. Awkward.
I'm sorry.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, is every actor in the Star Wars prequels. I'm thinking of covering an animated movie next, so let me know in the comments what movie you want to see me break down. Be sure to check out more of my videos by clicking these links, and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Thanks as always for watching, guys. Take care of yourselves.